Welcome to the Grow Your Business for Good show. This is a place where coaches and consultants gather so you can learn how to lead a world-class business that does not tax your time, your energy, or your financial resources. We are your hosts, M. Shannon Hernandez
and Amy Hager of the Joyful Business Revolution. And our number one goal is to bring you clarity and insight on how to grow your business for good. Before we jump into today's episode, we want to invite you to join us in the Content Personality Club. In this club, we help coaches and consultants attract your perfect fit clients. Here's what we know. When you tweak and enhance your messaging, or maybe even overhaul it, your business is going to get a whole lot better.
If you are experiencing any of these specific problems in your business, we want to help you. Number one, you publish content via email or social media, but it doesn't consistently convert to new clients, nor does it have the fire, flair, and feel you desire. Number two, if you're spending lots of time launching and reworking your offer, but you don't have the number of clients you think you should based on all of your hard work. Or number three, you have spent money on ads and or copywriters in the past, but none of it worked like they said it would.
Then we've got great news for you. Join us in the club where you'll learn how to leverage your content personality to create magnetic messaging. Because when your messaging is working, it does 90% of the heavy lifting for you. Visit www.contentpersonalityclub.com to join now. Hello. Today we are talking about share your stance content. And if you can see me, I am standing strong in my stance.
Yes, she is. She's even pounding her fist on the desk.
Well, I didn't pound because I know that's going to screw the audio up, but
pounding.
This type of content is really your chance to take a stance and share your thoughts and commentary on what's going on in your industry. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And what can you add to the discussion? And so go ahead, jot down your thoughts to this question. When was the last time you took a stand publicly in your content and shared your viewpoint on something? Was it today? Was it last week? If you don't think you've ever done it, that's okay. We're here to help. But when was the last time you took a stand publicly in your content and shared your viewpoint on something? And I want to make sure we start off this discussion today. There's a lot of fears of doing this. A lot. The fear of you don't want to get a bad reputation or rub somebody wrong. You don't want to disrupt the apple cart and really turn it over. And also you don't want to attract the trolls. And when we're talking about attracting the trolls, those are those people who are commenting and almost arguing with you back really on what you're putting out there. And so I want to ask, why must you be willing to share your stance on things? And how can you do it with love and compassion so that fear of attracting trolls or disrupting the apple cart, building that bad reputation go away? And how do you share it with love and compassion, especially if you're really, really supercharged about a topic? And so Shannon, will you talk about our 4 simple step process to creating this?
Yes. So I just want to say, I'm glad Amy talked about the fears because the fear is real.
It's real, y'all.
Happening. It's real, y'all, as we like to say. But here's what I know. And I don't know, Amy might have some insight on this. I've tried to tone down from share your stance and the people just don't respond to it. But man, when I'm fired up on something, and I either go live or I create this long Facebook post that's very like, I do not agree with this, and I do not agree with this, and I do not agree with this. People come out of the woodwork for that shit.
Yeah. I really think it's part of this brand of why people follow us is because we are so willing, and Shannon is so willing to go publicly and share her stance, but also that's what makes Shannon different that's what makes this brand different than any other quote unquote marketing coach out there, to be honest with you. And I think that those who are really taking a stance and owning that power, owning their difference, it's really, really showing up. When they get fired up about a topic, your community is going to get fired up because you build a community who believes in the mission that you believe in. So it makes logical sense to this logical brain sitting here in front of you today.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the Content Personality Club and in our other programs, we really have a 4-step process for every single type of content. There are 6 types. We kind of previewed those in the previous episode, and we'll diving into each one individually this episode and the next 5 episodes. And so today I'm just going to walk you through the simple 4-step process we use for creating content that connects and converts. Regardless of which type of content, type this is in the messaging ecosystem. So since we're talking about share your stance content today, I want to give you a brief overview of the 4 steps for creating this kind of content. So step 1 in every one of our frameworks is, what are you selling? And sometimes we say in our club meetings, in our clinics, what the fuck are you selling? Like, you have to know what you're selling, and you need to create all your content in terms of from that vantage point. What is the thing that you want to sell? How are you connecting this content to what you're selling? Now, note is that, a note here for you to write down is that selling could also be, you're selling people the idea of taking your quiz. You're selling people the idea on coming to your free workshop. You're selling, maybe you are selling a one-on-one coaching or a retreat, but selling here, and I'm doing air quotes for those of you who can't see me, can also mean like, where are you leading people to?
Yeah. Yeah. So your opt-in or your workshop, your lead generating effort, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be, come work with me in my one-on-one coaching program. It could be, come take our content personality quiz, or come to our email marketing workshop, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Good example.
Yeah. So step 1 is know where you are going to lead people. This is like, a lot of people do not do this simple step up front. And so they don't know, what is my call to action? What is my, where does this fit? This workshop, this opt-in, this strategy, where does this fit in the bigger marketing strategy of how I'm going to grow my business? All right. Step 2 of share your stance content is, I want you to think about something that you stand for boldly. All right. You want to think here, we call these seed ideas. So grab a pen, grab a paper, but like, I'm going to just ask you some questions. This is how you come up with content ideas, is we plant some seeds. All right. So one of the seeds that I want to ask you is, what pisses you off in your industry? Like, what is it that just like lights your ass on fire? And you're like, no, I do not agree with that. Because most of us are doing the work we've been called to do because we're trying to change something that, we didn't believe in. We have lots of health coaches in our community who were former doctors, right? And now they're like, well, that shit didn't work. Like, nobody's actually addressing like what's going on with the diet or what's going on a holistic level, right? They were just taught to deal with the symptoms and not actually find the causes. And so that would be something that pisses them off, right? That we teach them to talk about with love and compassion. Another way to get to like something you feel really strongly about is, what keeps your ideal clients stuck and not moving forward, and how do you have the solution? Okay. And this brand, we are very vocal about lots of things, but in this particular case, I'll talk about ads, right? Ads of any kind usually do not work for our people the way that they've been told they will work. And they come to us and they're energetically drained. They feel their time has been wasted. Some of them are financially drained in terms of the amount of money they spend on their ads, and they're not moving forward. Like, they're in the same place, actually in the worst place, because They spent the money, they wasted the time, and their heart hurts. They don't have the business that they want to be having. Okay, so that would be one thing. And then the flip side is, well, how do we offer a solution? Because there's a difference between just like, what are those called? Rants. Rant posts and rant emails don't provide solutions. They just do the rant and they move on. We're talking about using your expertise and positioning it here. Remember, we want to help you create this demand gap for your offer. All right, so you can do your rant and then you can say, here's how we have been helping people in this situation. And you outline it, and that's standing in your brilliance and standing in your expertise. All right, another question I could ask you, so you could come up with a seed idea, would be, what's going on in the current events that can directly relate to your industry? And what is your opinion on this topic? What value can you add to the discussion? Now, I'm going to be the first to say, you have to be pretty careful, I would say, about what you choose to comment on in terms of your brand. Okay. And listen, Amy and I aren't the content police. So we're never going to say, no, don't do that. But for example, in this brand, I rarely speak of religion, politics, or like really hot topic issues. Like, I just don't. One, I'm just not into it. Maybe if I was passionate about it and thought I could actually evoke change, I could do that, right? But there are things that happen, and I'm going to give an example in a moment, where I do feel compelled to share my stance on that. All right. And I'll just go ahead and share the example now so you can have a framework for the rest of the steps. But, you know, there is a shooting every other day in this damn country, it feels like, right? Just on Independence Day, we had another one in Chicago, right? Then you've got wildfires in California. You've got earthquakes in other parts of the world. You've got mudslides happening here. Well, listen, a lot of the questions that keep coming to us lately are, do I keep marketing with all this stuff happening?
Yeah.
And I did a video on this because I thought it was important, especially when Roe versus Wade came out, which is what prompted the whole thing. Is we had a slew of people come to us and say, can I still market with this terrible stuff happening in our country? And I went live and I talked about it and I shared my stance. And basically I said, you know, you get to choose what you want to do. And it's going to probably be different for each of you. But I decided a long time ago that if I stopped marketing every time something in this world happened, I wouldn't have a business anymore. My doors are open every day. And our mission here is to reach coaches and consultants who are ready to grow their business. And so I need to keep my doors open. And that means I continue to market. We marketed through COVID. We marketed through the overturning of the Roe versus Wade. We marketed through tragic shootings and things that are happening around the world. And it is going to be a personal thing, but that is a stance that I really believe in, because oftentimes when we go back to our clients, we say, well, why wouldn't you market? What is your mission in this world? And they're like, well, my mission. Okay, so how does this event impact you and your mission? And there's no correlation except maybe they're upset, which is okay. It's okay to be upset, right? You can take a break for a day or a couple days and come back and shift some things around, but it doesn't mean you stop marketing. So this is a very specific example of a Facebook Live that I did just within the last week and a half or so. And it was really well received. We had some great questions and people reached out and said, wow, I've been wondering this, right? I wasn't sure what I should be doing, or I'm glad you're talking about this, because, you know, they want to hear from you as an expert. They really do. All right. So step one, know what you're selling. Step two, figure out your stance on a topic. We gave you some seed ideas. Step three, outline your content. We teach you all to say what is. Give the necessary context. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. Should you keep marketing? Let's talk about it. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. You state your personal stance on the issue, and you illustrate with vivid examples, beliefs, and actions that are counter to what is, right? So they're counter to what other people are saying in the industry, or they're counter to what your ideal clients might be thinking should be happening. And finally, step 4, put your call to action on it and go sell your stuff, right? So Amy, do you want to say anything? We've been working with our club students on this format every single month with content.
And I think the one thing that when you think through your call to action, just like up in step 1, make sure it's clear in connection. If you are overwhelming or confusing your audience by your call to action, a confused buyer never buys. An overwhelmed buyer never buys. And so it needs to be clear and easy. If you want them to reach out to you, don't just say, reach out to me. Because I'm like, where? Do I put something in the comments? Do I DM you? Should I email you? Do I go to your website and go to the contact us page? How the hell do I reach out to you? And so make sure it's very clear on where you want them to take action at. If it's for us, it's take our content personality quiz, and then it's the link to go directly to that quiz. If it's to join us in our content personality club, it is that link to join and learn more. If it's to join us in the Confident Expert program, the same thing. You're catching my drift here, right? Make sure it's easy so that they are not confused. So when they're jazzed after reading this piece of content or watching this video or listening to this audio or seeing your beautiful visual graphic, that it's very easy for them to actually reach out to you the way that you want them to do it.
Yeah. It's the smallest things sometimes that people overlook just because they don't know, or we get lazy, right? And so what I want to share with everyone is that creating content that connects and converts can be daunting. Like it is totally my genius and my jam. And if I realized anything over 10 years, it is not most people's genius and their jam. And so that is why we are so passionate about breaking this thing down, giving people frameworks, helping them understand the 4 simple steps of a process so that you will have success with your messaging and marketing. And you can go deep and you have a framework for each content type and that we will cover in the upcoming sessions. All right. I also just want everyone to remember that your content personality is the key for making sure that the energy of your marketing is well received and converts.
And so we're hoping that you learned a few things today about sharing your stance. And we want to make sure that you go and create bold content that really shares that stance, which means you're going to need to pull back the curtain with some bold truth about how you feel about things going on in your industry. So make sure you join us for our next episode where we are going to dive into our thought reversal content, which is content that helps your future clients see where they might need to shift their established thoughts so that they can really get those results that they desire. Thank you for listening to the Grow Your Business for Good podcast with your hosts, M. Shannon Hernandez and Amy Hager.
Head over to www.joyfulbusinessrevolution.com/quiz to take the content personality quiz and join our community. And remember our mantra, if it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the show, leave a review, and spread the good news with other coaches and consultants.